Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor, we invite you to the podium for your recognitions and presentations. Well, good evening. At this part of our council meeting, we'd like to recognize employees that have given a great deal of service to our city. And tonight, we want to recognize Jeremy, better known as Colin Pharr. Colin, come on up. Colin began his career with the city in July of 2005 as a park and rec assistant and was promoted to a park patrol officer in 2007. He was transferred on July 19th, 2021 as our animal control officer with the Hoover Police Department. And as the control officer, he handles a wide range of animal-related service calls throughout the city. We talked a little bit about that before he came up, and he's been called out to search for a wallaby. He has been called out to search for alligators. And in the Greystone area, bears, and we have pictures and footprint or paw print to confirm that they're really out there. But most importantly, it's not just going after our little puppy dogs that have gotten out. And of course, when he sees a puppy dog and or one of our beloved animals, he takes tender love and care with capturing them and doing the best he can to get them back to their owners, and just a great job. But he's really a very helpful and a kind and a patient man dealing with our citizens, because oftentimes you are dealing with mostly our pets that people have allowed to get out and maybe do some things that they shouldn't. But so it takes a person that really knows how to work with our citizens and just to kind of get them everything back into normal situation. Colin also operates at our SEC baseball tournament or any high-profile, high-traffic types of events, and he assists the police department with traffic control and just other areas that we may need him. So I'm so grateful for Colin's 20 years of service. This is how he is most of the time. He got a big smile on his face, and we're grateful, and congratulations on your 20 years. We're going to begin first with an item on our regular agenda before we get to the consent agenda. Then we'll return to the regular agenda, but we'll begin with item number 1, resolution number 8531-25. Ms. Danielson.
8525-25.
8531-25.
I'm sorry. This actually renames the community room to the Faye Anderson Community Room in recognition of Mrs. Anderson's outstanding service and contributions to the city.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 8531-25.
Second.
We have a motion and second for approval. Councilor Murphy, if you'd like to introduce the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today at 5:30, we honored Faye Bloodworth Anderson's commitment to Hoover by naming the community room after her, and her family, also friends, came. She was born in Nashville, Tennessee, May 6, 1941, and we lost a trailblazer December 20th, 2024. She was the first female council member that served between 1984 to 88. She spearheaded the effort to start Hoover City Schools that we love so dearly today. In 2017, Faye recorded a video for the Hoover Historical Society in celebration of the 50-year anniversary, and we'd like to show that right now.
I'm Faye Anderson. I moved to Hoover in 1971, got active in the community, and asked the Hoover Beautification Board if I could form the Hoover Bells in 1979. We started with 12 young girls. We outfitted them out of my 59 closet of hoop skirts and the UAB theater closet, so they would all have hoop skirts. They were presented at the Hoover Mall. There was a water fountain and with a little bridge on it. And so we walked across the bridge and held a little nosegay. They had more fun. In those days, we had an azalea trail, and they stood at the houses and they directed traffic and they waved to the crowds during the time. But they were the official Hoover Bells and city hostesses. Later, I was lucky enough to be on the Hoover City Council between '84 and '88 during the formation of a Hoover school system, a park board. I watched the Galleria go up, and I'd like to tell everyone, Hoover's one of the finest places in the South to live. I want to tell you, our administration, our fire department, police department, school system, library, and every board we have is just ideal. I invite you to come to Hoover, visit us, live with us, shop here, and eat here. Great restaurants too. I have enjoyed watching this city grow and be as big as it is. And I'm so excited about building the community together.
At this time, I ask Beth and Henry Morissette and family to come to the front here. If you don't mind, take a photo. Also, the artists.
Is it okay if I say a few things?
You sure can.
Yeah, so I'm going to say a few things before we take the photo. I do, if someone will mention to Colin, I have a really funny raccoon story that happened while Mom was on City Council that I will share with him at some point if he will give me a call. And I do think it is so nice that he was honored here tonight because the Hoover Parks and Recreation Board was one of the initiatives that Mom founded when she was on City Council. So I think that the tie-in to that is a lovely fit. So we are so grateful for the life of Faye Anderson. We're grateful for her commitment to Hoover and its residents. We're grateful that so many of the legacy projects that she initiated and helped champion still continue to exist. And I think that's in large part due to the leadership that all of you exhibit on a day-to-day basis. So we're grateful to Derek for spearheading this idea, and the mayor and the council people for making it a reality. And Ellen was a tremendous help. I don't know if she's in the room anymore, but thank you to Ellen too. Mom loved Hoover. Mom loved Hoover's citizens. And you couldn't have a conversation with her ever without that being fully evident. And Mom's work for Hoover began long before she served on City Council, and Mom's work for Hoover lasted a long time after she served on City Council. And having a community space where citizens can gather, named for her, is the ultimate way to recognize and celebrate Faye's legacy and her lifetime commitment to the city of Hoover. And so may the dedicated space named in her memory long be a gathering space where citizens encourage, nurture, and facilitate connections and community, because that was incredibly important to Mom. Thank you for the honor, and thank you for all you all continue to do for the city of Hoover. Thank you for making Hoover a great place to live and to work. And I think we can take a picture. Want to take a picture? Yes. Okay. I want to jump up. Okay. And wait, let me turn real quickly. So if you will all, when this is over, peek through the community room that's named in our honor. Lanita Notes is the artist that did the portrait, and she really captured Mom beautifully, and she also captured Mom's legacy for the city of Hoover beautifully. If you'll look in all the frames and the paintings that are behind her are a lot of the legacy projects that she spearheaded for the city of Hoover. So thank you, Lanita. Yeah.
We have a motion and second for approve the resolution. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. We'll now move to our consent agenda. Items 2 through 13 are presented as consent items. It'll be read at with one reading and with one motion and vote, unless, of course, a member of the body or a member of the public would like any item removed. I'll begin with the body. Anyone like any item removed from the consent?
Mr. President, just to clarify, 2 through 7, or 2 through 9, right? Not 13.
I'm sorry, 2 through 9. Yes, thank you for the clarification, 2 through 9. Anyone from the public here to speak about items 2 through 9? Seeing none, Ms. Danielson, if you'll read the items.
Item number 2 approves the payment of bills. Item number 3 approves the minutes from July 10th, 2025 work session and the July 14th, 2025 city council meeting. Item number 4 is Resolution 8525-25 that approves a 160 special retail alcohol license for AUM Hoover, who is doing business as the Hampton Inn and Suites. Item number 5, Resolution number 8526-25 authorizes the mayor to execute a court referral officer contract with the administrative director of courts on behalf of the city. Item number 6 is Resolution number 8527-25 that amends the fiscal year budget for the year ending September 30th, 2025 to reflect certain personnel adjustments in the municipal court department. Item number 7, Resolution number 8528-25 authorizes the mayor to execute an agreement with Johnson Controls and any other documents necessary for the effectuation of said agreement for the maintenance on HVAC units at city-owned properties for the city's 25-26 fiscal year. Item number 8 is Resolution number 8529-25 authorizes the mayor to execute an agreement with Knox Pest Control for pest control services at various city properties for the city's 25-26 fiscal year. Item number 9 is Resolution 8530-25 that authorizes the mayor to execute an agreement with Train USA, Inc. For HVAC quarterly and annual inspections for the 25-26 fiscal year.
Mr. President, I move for approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Have a motion and second for approval. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. We'll now move to the regular agenda, beginning with item number 10, Resolution number 8532-25. Ms. Danielson.
This resolution authorizes the mayor to execute a lease agreement with the Alabama Department of Revenue for office space shown in the resolution.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 8532-25.
Second.
Have a motion and second for approval. Any questions or discussion from the body?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So I went back the other night and watched the work session of the original Riverwalk agreement. So in November of 2023, council approved the Riverwalk agreement. During the discussion, Corporate Realty said anticipates 93% occupancy by year 4. Staff got up and discussed the desperate need for space for relocation of city departments to this 4th floor. Fast forward to July 2024. According to a Fox 6 article I read, the city of Hoover hopes to have a healthcare provider identified by the end of 2024. September 2024, the CON got approved. October 2024, request for proposals to the Healthcare Authority from healthcare providers, deadline, October 2024. My understanding is that the CON, when approved, gave a deadline for a healthcare provider to be named by November of this year. We're about 90 days out And I think that this body and our public deserves to hear from someone with the Healthcare Authority and Mr. Simon on an update on where we stand. I'm concerned that a healthcare provider hasn't been named yet, but I'm hopeful that we're very close. Admittedly, this agreement with Aldor is not under the best circumstances for the city. However, it is essential to move Aldor from their current location in order to proceed with the expansion for NCFI. On top of that, you know, the lease agreement is kind of in their favor the first 2 years, then it becomes more in the city's favor. But we weren't holding any cards for negotiation. So, Mr. Miller, I commend you for getting the best out of a bad deal. And hopefully that income will help soften the blow of what we're currently under with Riverwalk in terms of financial responsibility. You know, like I said, admittedly, it's not the best ideal situation, but I think it's one that we need to move forward with. But I would like an update at the next council meeting. Thank you.
Any other comments from the council? Any comments from the audience?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Paul Hamrick, Middlebrook. Thank you, Mr. Middlebrooks. That was a very genuine and correct overview. And I remember how this all came about with Riverwalk and particularly the CON hearing, because you could listen to it online. And Mr. Light, I know it was your personal priority according to your testimony. And Mayor, you said it was so important you didn't read any of the documents. You had no idea what was in the CON or what was in any of the leases. And that probably has something to do with where we are today. And I agree with you, it's not a great deal. But I think it's worse than that. It's desperation, and the city does not need to take desperate action with public dollars on the line. There are all sorts of problems with this, and council members have to put their foot down and stop this at some point. They've got to stop the bleeding. Let's start with why the Revenue Department would be looking at this building to begin with. They're required by law to do this through a competitive bid process. So not only is it a fair deal for them, it's the cheapest deal in the city by law. And there's no lack of empty office space in Birmingham or Hoover. And you don't really even need a calculator to figure out that the city of Hoover, with our tax dollars, will be subsidizing the state revenue department. We're paying more in leasing this empty floor of the Riverwalk building than they would be paying in rent. Plus, if you look back at there was a 2013 deal, was the last time the revenue department expanded their property. You know, they covered the cost of renovating it and all these things. Well, in this situation, Hoover is going to pay to fix the office project of the building, and that's just unheard of. This has got to stop. Clearly, I don't know if it's the developer who's continuing to benefit so strongly off this, but there is something fundamentally wrong with what's going on at Riverwalk. And at some point, everybody has to stand up and stop this. And I think this is a good place to begin. And I'll add one more thing about why why it should be stopped now, although I'm not sure it'll go forward anyway. I've read, Mayor, you may not have read it, but I read the master lease. There is a requirement in there of how much per square foot the building has to be rented for. Well, if you look online with the developer's company, Robert Simon's company, he's advertising the space in that building far below the mandated rate. Does that, you know, it's a
Thank you, Mr.
legal
Hamrick.
agreement.
Ms. Thomas, you're recognized.
Thank you. Almost got your glasses.
KT Thomas, Scout Trace. No, that's not right, Scout Creek. I'm Deanie and Matt's mom. I was corrected this summer earlier by my daughter. I'm trying to understand the urgency and the rationale for this resolution. So I went back, as Dr. Middlebrooks did, and saw that December the 5th, 2022, the council bought 3021 Lorna Road for about $2 million with the purpose of moving the fire administration, Chief Bentley, to that facility to free up space for the Forensic Institute. The purchase was pushed through in less than 2 hours because the work session was right before the council meeting. And then the city has since then allocated $1 million or so for renovation of 3021 Lorna Road. That building is empty and has been sitting empty for quite a long time. Less than a year later then, November of '23, the city council approved Riverwalk. Again, the city stated the purpose was to free up space for the Forensic Institute. That made poor Lorna Road, going from Cinderella to the ugly stepsister. You all agreed to $16 million in cash paid over 10 years. And I'm not sure what's going on here because the other thing that was reported at the same time was that the city was going to rent, it was the first floor, but it could have meant the fourth floor, for $700,000 for 10 years, except 1 year would be free, so it was really 9 years. Dr. Middlebrooks and Mr. Sweeney voted against Riverwalk. The council, though, in your defense, thought that there was $80 million in reserves. So they thought there was plenty of money, don't worry about it. At this point, though, it should be obvious that the council does not always get accurate information from the city, whether it's here or back there. Since then, there's been over $1 million in legal fees, and one of the next resolutions is $100,000 to put into a building that we rent. We put no money into a building that we own. So we have, I think as residents, we have the right to have more information, and we should know what the plan is for the building, as Dr. Middlebrooks said. How much has been rented that is not rented by the city? How many clients are there going to be? And a more realistic picture of how much we're spending each year on something that looks like a giant black hole.
Matt Winther, Scout Creek. I don't really have any prepared statement here, but I do just want to echo what was just said, which is the council has gotten what appears to be some pretty incomplete information in the past. That's just been talked about and has been talked about in the past. How is the council sure that you're getting complete information now about what the options are? That's what I think you should really consider in this vote. Just as my own 2 cents, and I don't know enough about it to really know, but Alabama Department of Revenue seems like it would be a much better fit for that 3021 Lorna Road building than a building intended for medical use. My understanding of why that's not an option is because that Lorna Road building is such a disaster, it's going to cost millions to fix. I guess I understand that. We don't want to spend millions to fix a building that we're going to rent for a little while. I frankly don't even understand why we're in the landlord business at all with the Alabama Department of Revenue. I guess there was probably some money to be made at some point off of that, and now we're trying to figure out what to do there. But I really would like to see the council really reflect on, I understand that this may be the best option to get out of a bad situation, but we all need to understand, all of us need to understand that, not just it kind of being thrown out there that this is what we have to do and we don't want to talk about it. Thanks.
Any other comments from the public?
No, I'm not commenting.
Okay, very good. We have a motion and second for approval. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. Ayes have it, the motion carries. Item number 11 is resolution number 8533-25. Ms. Danielson.
This resolution amends the budget for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2025 to reallocate funds for the Alabama Department of Revenue build-out at the Riverwalk building.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 8533-25.
Second.
We have a motion and second for approval. Any comments from the body?
Yes, sir, Mr. President.
Sir.
So in an effort to promote transparency for this council and future councils, I just want to say while discussing the reallocation of funds for the 3021 building with city staff, it was mentioned in a meeting that I attended that there was a familial connection between the owner of this property, the 3021 building that the city purchased in 2022, and our law firm. We thought it prudent to request further information, which ultimately showed no conflict of interest existed. A thorough conflict check was conducted in accordance with the Alabama bar rules prior to the commencement of closing procedures. I want to emphasize that I'm sharing this not to disparage anyone or imply any wrongdoing whatsoever, but to avoid any misinformation and to be transparent with our community.
Any other comments from the body?
This is
Mr. Murphy?
just one comment. We probably should just work on a informational or disclosure document just in the future, regardless if it's legal or not, or approval, like a checklist. And so we'll be able to kind of have that up front, something I'm just recommending from legal. And that's with any consultant that we have, just to make sure, like a non-disclosure agreement. Do we have that? You know, I don't want to put you on the spot if you need to kind of research. Do we have that now in the contracts, non-disclosure agreements?
I'm not sure what you're asking, but he can surely talk about it afterwards.
Yeah, okay. And then what I'm asking is that typically in contracts you'll have, do you have any disclosures you need to disclose about whether you have family members? This is no different than a job that may work here. So regardless of if it's a conflict or not, like Councilman Middlebrooks just stated, no wrongdoing was done, but just kind of informational purposes regardless of the fact. Maybe we can expand on that on those contracts, especially dealing with consultants. But we can talk in the future. I just want to kind of make a point on that piece of it.
Very good. Any other comments from the body? Any comments from the public on the resolution? Mr. Winther?
First of all, I'd like to say that I appreciate you bringing that up, that there was some investigation about that relationship at some point. Sounds like it might have been at the time of purchase. Been a lot better if they'd have just put that out when it was done, so that it didn't have to sit there and fester as a question in the public, because it is a question in the public, as you just heard. The real reason I want to talk about this one is it deserves the same treatment as Riverwalk. Like, the city has made an investment in a building, a substantial investment. It was stated earlier that there was an hour of deliberation. There really wasn't. It was about 10 minutes of actual council time that was discussed in the meeting before, so the work session and then the actual city council meeting. And that building was purchased for nearly $2 million. And now it seems from my perspective like we don't have a plan for it, that we're about to abandon all money to do anything with it. I mean, I don't know what the plan is, and it would be great to hear about that. It'd be great to hear what the plan is, just so our minds are all at ease, and this is going to be a great investment for the city. And if there's not a plan presented, then I guess we'll just assume there's no plan.
Thank you, Paul Hamrick, Middlebrook. I guess we could go ahead and rename this Mayor Mercado's Vision Land, because that's what it's turning into. And in all seriousness, a point was raised that it seems to be the consensus of everyone I've talked to that the city and the leadership of this council has not been upfront with the members of the council. I think you have gotten bad numbers and bad information. I think you're very good people and you try and do a good job. But at some point, that's not going to be a justifiable excuse anymore. We've all raised this issue. We know there's problems. No one trips over the Grand Canyon. They trip over cracks in the sidewalk. The red flags are there. And either have to take responsibility for letting the train go forward or stop and bring in some accountability. And I think accountability and transparency is what the majority of you would like, and I hope you'll see a way clear to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments from the public? We have a motion and second for approval. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? The ayes have it, the motion carries. Item 12, resolution number 8534-25, Ms. Danielson.
Should it be item number 13? 12, okay. 8534-25 amends the budget for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2025 for janitorial services associated with the Aldor relocation to the Riverwalk building.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 8534-25.
Second.
We have a motion and approval for, or a motion and a second for approval. Any questions or comments from the body? Any from the public tonight? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? The ayes have it, the motion carries. Item 13 is resolution number 8535-25, Ms. Danielson.
This resolution amends the budget for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2025 for the River Chase Village Drainage Project.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 8535-25.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for approval. Comments or questions from the members?
Yes, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
A minute ago, you asked about a plan for this building, and I want to thank all of my fellow council members. I believe you received an email in June from the mayor about the possibility of using a portion of the 3021 building for visual arts, for visual art classrooms, for visual art workspaces, a maker space, those kind of things. And that was talked about in the last two Arts Council meetings, of which I chair, and a lot of excitement was behind that. There was a survey sent out. We've got several artists that are interested in that space now. But I commend you for not taking every penny away from that building, because that is a plausible use and a source of revenue in terms of subleases for that building. Or, and again, this would come to the next council, not necessarily us, or that money can be used to rehabilitate the building and sell it. But I do feel like, and I'm glad that all of you agree, it would not be wise to take every penny away from that building, because there needs to be a plan for that building. This is a possible plan. There are other possible plans, but if you take all the funding away, then you don't have the means to go in and do some work to make it usable for one entity or another entity, or to sell. So thank you for that.
Any other comments from the body? Comments from the public on item 13?
Paul Hamrick, Middlebrooks. Mr. Middlebrooks, Middlebrook, Mr. Middlebrooks. I just had a question because I wasn't that familiar with the questions of a conflict. What is the conflict with the law firm in this building? Is it the ownership or?
The ownership of the building and the partner of the law firm was first cousins.
The
But
current partner?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate you answering my question.
My thought on this, taking money, which, you know, I'm all about stormwater. So it's not like I don't want to see the project dealt with down there on 150 and 31. But I don't really understand why we're in such a hurry to amend the budget when we don't even have bids. We don't even really know what this project's really going to cost on 31 and 150. So it seems to me there doesn't have to be a rush to get this money moved over. On the other hand, move it over and we don't have anything or not much left for Lorna Road building. But the question at the end of the day is one of planning. Like, how is all of this being planned out? And is it being planned out? Or is this, I mean, this just looks like we're moving shells around with money and nobody really knows what's going on. It just feels like there's zero plan and you all are getting handed something sort of last minute in desperation. And that doesn't seem fair to anyone.
Mr. President, if I may.
Certainly.
Mr. Winther, in order for us to release the bid, which we're saying we're going to pay this amount through this bid, we need to first allocate the funds for the bid. If we release the bid without any funds associated with it, we're not necessarily committed to the bid, if that makes sense.
Any other comments from the public? We have a motion and second for approval. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries. We'll now move to some public hearings, mostly for weeds and grass. Each of these will have a public hearing where we'll take comments from the public, and Mr. Martin is here to update us on a few of these, and a few have been taken care of, and we will withdraw, beginning with item 14, resolution number 8536-25, which we understand has been taken care of, Mr. Martin?
Yes, sir, that's correct. The location 2208 Larkspur Drive has been cut.
We will entertain a motion to withdraw.
Mr. President, I move to withdraw resolution number 8536-25.
Second.
We have a motion and second for approval. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, the motion carries. Item 15 is resolution number 8537-25, Ms. Danielson.
This resolution declares a weed and other vegetation nuisance and directs the abatements of like said nuisance pursuant to Alabama law for the property located at 2236 Partridge Lane.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 8537-25.
Second.
We have a motion and second for approval. We will open the public hearing. Mr. Martin, any updates from Thursday?
Yes, sir, there has been some traction with this particular property. The front yard does appear to have been addressed. However, the backyard is still overgrown, largely untouched, and that is the reason why we have kept this item on the agenda. I do have an update beyond that. Code enforcement did receive a call from the owner today. Their intention is to address the rear yard as well. We are asking that the council go ahead with the nuisance declaration, just so if the owner does not comply and cut the property, we at least don't have to start completely over with the process. But there is positive news about this location. It seems that they're trending in the right direction.
Very good. Good news, and we'll hope over the next 2 weeks before abatement, we get this one cleared up. Any comments or questions from the body? Anyone from the public here to speak at the public hearing? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second for approval. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries. Item 16, resolution number 8538-25, Ms. Danielson.
This resolution declares a weed and other vegetation nuisance and directs the abatement of said nuisance for the property located at 2874 Wisteria Drive.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 8538-25.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for approval. Begin the public hearing. Mr. Martin, any update on this item?
Yes, sir, as of today, the nuisance is still persisting on the property.
Very good. Any questions or comments from the body? Anyone from the public here to speak? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries. Item 17, resolution number 8539-25, Ms. Danielson.
This resolution declares a weed and other vegetation nuisance and directs the abatement of the nuisance at 3501 Laurel View Lane.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 8539-25.
Second.
We have a motion and second for approval. Mr. Martin, anything new here?
Yes, sir, as of today, it looks like somebody started the job, but as of right now, it remains incomplete. And so the property is still considered a nuisance by city code. It's another one we hope to get resolved before we get to the abatement period.
Very good. Any questions or comments from the body? Any comments from the public on this address? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries. Item 18, resolution number 8501-25, Ms. Danielson.
This resolution authorizes the abatement of weeds or other vegetation at 1301 Daria Street.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 8501-25.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Mr. Martin.
Yes, sir. This particular case, we have another instance of somebody beginning the job. There is a rough cut that has taken place on the site. We still find that it is outside of compliance with our grass and weed ordinance. We would like to proceed with declaration for the abatement or approval of the abatement by council, and wish to consider continuing, working with the property owner, hopefully that they'll finish the job before we get to the point where we are actually abating it.
Very good. Any questions or comments from the body?
Mr. President, I brought this up before. Question for you, legal. Can we find an opinion on whether or not we can group these into withdrawals versus the ones that we're gonna eventually approve? Because at the end of the day, we're talking about the addresses and voting it to be a nuisance or not. Can we just find some legal opinion from the state or case law associated whether or not I don't want to have to go through these individually, about 20 of them, especially during the summertime. They can get rather interesting. You can research that and we can come back later, and that's perfectly fine. I just want to make sure someone
Happy
has not.
to. These, actually 3 of these would have had a public hearing, so you could not have actually grouped those, but, the other ones, yes.
That'll be perfect, because during the summertime, that's when it rains and grows. Thank you.
Good. Anyone from the public here to speak on this address? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Ayes have it, the motion carries. Item 19 is resolution number 8502-25. We understand this one has been corrected, correct, Mr. Martin?
Yes, sir. 3460 Sheila Drive has been cut to the satisfaction of code enforcement and can be removed from the agenda.
We will entertain a motion to withdraw.
Mr. President, I move to withdraw resolution number 8502-25.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for withdrawal. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? The ayes have it, the motion carries. Item number 20 is an ordinance number 25-2678. Ms. Daniels.
This ordinance alters, rearranges, and extends the corporate limits of the city to embrace certain territory located at 3721 South Shades Crest Road.
Mr. President, I move to adopt ordinance number 25-2678.
Second.
Have a motion and second for adoption. Any questions or comments from the body tonight? Any member of the public here to speak on the ordinance? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Posey,
Aye.
Councilor Sweeney,
Aye.
Councilor Driver, aye. Councilor Murphy,
Aye.
Councilor Middlebrooks,
Aye.
Councilor Lida.
Aye, with a vote of 6 ayes and 0 nays, the motion carries and the ordinance is adopted. We will now have 4 first readings, beginning with item number 21. No vote will be taken on these, but they will be considered at our next regularly scheduled meeting, beginning with resolution number 8522-25. Ms. Danielson.
This resolution authorizes the abatement of such weed and other vegetation at 425 Shades Avenue.
Item 22, resolution number 8523-25. Ms. Danielson.
This resolution authorizes the abatement of like weeds at 2413 Regent Circle.
Item 23 is resolution number 8524-25.
This resolution authorizes the abatements of like weeds at 3456 Blueberry Lane.
And finally, item 24, ordinance number 25-2679.
This ordinance amends ordinance number 263 to rezone the property located at 2240 Chapel Road to R3.
Very good. That brings us to the end of the agenda. Any comments from the body tonight?
I do, Mr. President. The gentleman asked about the Alabama Department of Revenue as far as space allocation. Just a small background, and I mentioned this earlier on different meetings. The Public Safety Center, we received quite a bit of money for that some time back to construct that. Anytime we have corporations in the city that helps us with employees coming to the city each and every day, anytime you have departments and services that also help for folks to come in from a regional standpoint to come to your city and also spend money after they complete said services. In that particular building alone, right, that building has the Alabama Department Forensic Unit, which they own their portion now of that building. We also have the Alabama Department of Revenue. So that's 2 state agencies. is 3 federal agencies there as well too. We have although these individuals don't actually go to Chick-fil-A, they get transported as a federal prison there, but also is a federal forensic, and also is the National Resource Officer corporate division there as well too. So we have 3 federal agencies and also 2 state agencies in the city of Hoover. Also, I do want to mention to everyone too, we also have a partnership with Pelham. We were able to get some funding from them, and we take care of all of their police, their fleet in a sense. So the more we do as a city to bring in industries and folks that come in from a regional standpoint, the better folks will spend money here. So I did want to just mention that to you as well too, as far as that particular building footprint.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Any other comments from the body? Mr. Posey?
Yes, Mr. President. The AV and IT guys don't get a lot of acclaim. I commended them when they tried to do a patch on this, but this is great. These microphones are incredible. They're easy to be moved around, and I'm glad to have everything back up and running in terms of our viewability here and sound and everything for the webcast. I'm glad to see that back up and running, and thanks to Moose and his team for putting that together. I also would like to, Councilor Middlebrooks, in addition to what you requested earlier for Riverwalk, I think based on the questions I'm hearing tonight and some questions that I've heard as well, I think it'd be beneficial to add a legal component to that. I think there's questions about the lease itself that are going to come up, and questions about the triple net lease and those kind of things that maybe if you had the developer, the healthcare authority, and legal also all representing that to present, I think you get all your questions answered and get transparency out to the community about what's going on with that building and the future of that building.
Any other comments? Very good. Any comments from the public?
Yes, sir, I'll be brief. Paul Hamrick, Middlebrooks. Mr. Middlebrooks, would you have a copy of the bar's review of this conflict of issue that if I contact you afterwards, I could get a copy of?
No, sir, I don't have a copy of it.
Do you know where I might could get that, or?
Contact our legal department.
Okay, because there's, I'm sorry I didn't know more about it beforehand, but it just raises a lot of questions. Like the city's been doing business with that building for a number of years now. Was the conflict ever brought to y'all's attention before? Did the mayor know about it? It just raises a lot of questions, but I'll contact Mr. Corley to ask you, but that sounds like a good way to go. Thank you.
Any other comments from the public?
Mr. President, I do just want to clarify something there, Mr. Hamrick. You don't have to come back up unless you just want to, but I don't think the statement was supposed to be that the state bar reviewed the potential conflict. I think the answer that we got from legal counsel was that at the time that the work was performed, that their law firm performed a conflict check, and that there was no conflict of interest under the legal ethics responsibility rules.
I concur with the lawyer on the team. Thank you.
Any other comments from the public? Very good. Thank you for your attendance. We're adjourned.